Good morning, everybody. All things work for good for those who love the Lord and know His purpose. And we know His purpose. To be kind. To be good. To help others. When all is said and done, the only thing that really matters is how did we treat others. Yesterday, total failure. But today is the 1st of September. A brand new month. And my mother's birthday. She was born in the year 1888. And we will try to find somebody who will come over and bake the apple pie. Mrs. Smith's frozen apple pie, and we'll find somebody who will give us a tea bag. We just use one tea bag a year. And we'll have, my mother and I will make believe that we're having a little birthday party together, and I will tell my mother how much I appreciate those old big Victorian houses she used to rent. And then she would rent rooms. 4, 5, 6 rooms in a house. An ample place for us to live. They weren't Victorian, they were later than Victorian. And these houses now were too big for people to live in. The families of the 50s, 40s, 30s, the families weren't that big. They didn't need 16-room houses. So these houses just rambled on and on. They had parlors, they had living rooms. Some of them had libraries. What? Some of them had libraries. Dining rooms. Nice big kitchens. And many of them had back stairs that led to servants' quarters. And one of them even had a dumb waiter. Do you know what that is, other than a literal translation? A dumb waiter was a pulley with a tray, and it had a door, and you'd open the door. Here was a pulley on the tray, and then if you had anything to go downstairs to the kitchen, down cellar to the kitchen, you put it on the tray, and you did the pulley, and it went downstairs. And then the people downstairs did the cooking. This is when the servants were downstairs, and the kitchen was downstairs in the cellar. And then the servants would put on the dinner and do the pulley. And then it would come into the dining room, and you would put it on the dining room table. Where was this? Bangor, Maine? Thank you, Mother, for all of those old houses that were too big for anybody else to rent. But you would rent them, and then you would rent rooms, and you got us through the Depression. When was this, Glendora? Well, that was 1940. Late 1939, 38, 39, 40, 41, 42. So this is September 1st. Apologies for all of the wrongs done yesterday. Determination to make them good today. To do make goods for them today. And the hymn, Gloria Patri, glory be to the Father. Glory be to the Father, and to the Son, and to the Holy Ghost, as it was in the beginning, is now, and ever shall be, world without end. Amen. Amen. Word. A verse. A, V, victory, E, R, S, E, or adverse. One or the other. They mean the same. And that's contrary. Going in the opposite direction. Holding you up. And the other one on the other end is advance. Advance. Marked improvement. So a verse yesterday on helping others, but advance we hope today on helping others. When all is said and done, the only thing that really matters is how did you treat others. I think the situation in Pittsfield is very good. I believe Victoria, in her great ability to succeed, bring to an issue of full success. In fact, we know as a matter of fact that she has got the program to Mr. David Cachet at Pittsfield Public Access Television, or Pittsfield Community Television. Now it seems the last step is to get the air times, or the cable casting times. We hope to accomplish that today. How long has that gone on? Oh, a year. And then Mr. Philip Eddy missed an hour of work from 9 o'clock to 10 o'clock because he was after doctors, and he never asked Glendora anything about it, whether it was convenient for her. And he went back on his word because he said he would be in Monday through Friday from 9 to 1 o'clock. And then he said that he would be in at 10 o'clock. When Tuesday he called up and said he would be in at 10 o'clock with the groceries done. Well, he came in at 10 o'clock an hour late and no groceries. He thought he had to be paid for that. He couldn't see the kindness in doing the grocery shopping for a woman who was blind, and for a woman who was 94 years old, and for a woman who was housebound. He couldn't see any kindness in that. He had to be getting paid, and because he didn't get paid, he didn't do the grocery shopping. But that's not April. April never had any problem that way. April was perfect. And Mr. Eddy is not measuring up to April. And instead of doing the work, he's writing down what he did to keep a log from it. I guess there is a memory problem there. I'm sorry about that. And argue with the boss. No attempt to assuage just argue and fight. And at that point, after this had gone on about 15 minutes around, I just stopped talking to him. And I think that's the best way to do it. You just stop talking to them. If people are going to argue about what they should have done and didn't do, just don't talk to them anymore. And so I went to my telephoning, and he stayed, and he found things to do, I guess. But whatever, I didn't ask him to do anything. I was through with him. And so I continued my telephoning, and he continued talking to me, and I didn't answer, and finally he left around 11. The woman, Rebecca, said she weighed up 280 pounds, close to 300, and she had been over 300 in her life. That was a problem with the U.S. Marines. That's why she didn't stay in it as a career after staying in for 8 years. And then I said, there will be no meat in this house, there will be no animal products. And that stopped the whole negotiation, because she would not give up eating animals. And I would not give up veganism. So that negotiation is at a 0. But then Amy came in, and Amy is always on time. She's always on time at 1 o'clock, and she always leaves on time at 7 o'clock.
The time is 8 o'clock a.m.
What time did you start? 8:47. No, 7:47, excuse me. And Amy went right through the holy agenda, one right after another. And there was no trust to do. The trust was up to date. And as far as Mr. Eddie goes, I gave Mr. Eddie money to fill him in, so he would have a job and so that he would have money. And it was the next to the last $1,000 that Franklin, my husband, had given me. There's only $1,000 left. Well, $1,400. And I regret it. I wish I'd never used the money that way. And the work wasn't done. The work was not up to date, and the jobs weren't done. The accomplishments weren't there. So the whole thing was a fiasco. And he didn't finish Consumer Direct. He didn't Consumer Direct, and he had not finished their work of signing up so that Consumer Direct could pay him. And Glendora went on paying him every day, and it was just too much. So Amy sailed right through a holy agenda, right through to the museum, and we're on vacation on the museum because our work is up to date. At one point in the day, it was so bleak, I did call April, and of course she was very, very short for time, and I said, will you ask Caleb to call Glendora? She said, yes, I'll take care of it immediately, even though she was under pressure at college starting out. But I never heard from Mr. Caleb, Mr. Kastner. Sandy brought food, which is always a missed call. Sandy, when will you ever please comprehend? No bringing food into the house, honey. Just cooking the food that is here. Sandy is back to school, but there's no children this week at school. She's just employed as a teacher getting her classroom ready. And the children start coming back in a few days. And after many, many years, 30 years, she goes to school without her husband because he retired as a teacher. He's staying home and taking care of the garden and taking care of the house. He retired. Nice, huh? Taking care of the flowers. And getting her supper. Having her supper ready for her. That's mainly why she couldn't cook the food for Glennie. We could have given it to Amy to cook. And Amy showed Glendora how to press a button on the cell phone and record a program on your YouTube. Press a button on the cell phone and record on your YouTube, and then stop recording it. Something that Glennie used to do every morning of her life 4 or 5 years ago when she had eyesight. Jokes. Where are the jokes? Hold still, folks.